everyone, welcome back to a new season of the Freelance Creative Exchange. I'm your host, Jace. So over the years, we have met many Singaporean creatives who have actually headed overseas to hone their craft and pursue their pursue their life goal or pursue their interests. In this overseas edition, we wanted to learn more about how they started out and built their career overseas. And today, we're very happy to be on a call with Ray. Ray is a Singaporean actor currently based in LA. Right. So, Ray, why don't you introduce yourself to our audiences?
Okay, my name is Rayve. I'm a Singaporean actor who is based in LA right now. I used to be based in Hong Kong and China, and I've been living outside of Singapore for about 7 years. 7 years? Wow, 7 years. Yeah, and yeah, but I'm a Singapore born and bred, pure Singapore boy. I just went back to Singapore and I felt even more Singaporean than ever. I feel that um, I'm very proud to be a Singapore boy.
Great. Thank you so much to be on the call. I'm glad that you have enjoyed your time in Singapore. So how is it like to be quarantined for 14 days?
It was okay. It was very productive. It was forced productivity. I did a lot of things in the room. It was just a room. I knew it was going to be some sort of a prison, a very comfortable prison. So I just made use of all the time to do the things I needed to do. It actually forced me into writing a lot, and also I was in an online Zoom play as well. So I got quite a lot of work done.
Wow, that's very productive.
Yeah.
So what are some of the projects that you're currently working on at the moment?
Right now, besides acting, I'm also writing, and I also direct theater. So I used to be in Hong Kong, and I used to be part of a like a youth theater group. As in, I used to teach them, and I'm directing a whole bunch of students to do a musical right now in Hong Kong on Zoom. So that's an interesting challenge. The new platform kind of forces us to do things a different way. I'm also writing a Singapore American co-production right now. And also I might be working on a couple of features in the second quarter of the year. We'll see about that. I will know in a few weeks. And training and auditioning, that's what all actors do.
But how does it feel like directing over Zoom? I think that is really a new normal, right? Seems like.
I just, because everything is trapped in this box, right? So I think we have to treat it like everything is a medium close up or close up, and we have to, it's just modifying our audience instead of performing to the whole damn theater, right? The performance is a lot more personal, and the great thing about Zoom is that the audiences can see every single thing that you feel and every single thing that you're thinking about, because it's so close. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So how is the filmmaking industry in LA like at this moment? Both pre-COVID and post-COVID. Is there any changes in terms of creative planning as well as running the productions in this new normal?
Well, definitely. I think, LA has always been LA, and it's super creative, and it's really the mecca of American film and television. And productions are going on all the time. Even during COVID times, productions are still going on because, the creatives got to create. And I'm a strong believer that people with true passion in their craft, and also bills to pay, they feel a profound need to create, and nothing can stop them. I did a couple of commercials towards the end of last year, and everything, they followed the COVID guidelines very strictly, and everything, can still move on.
So why did you decided to move to Hong Kong? Or just now you mentioned you were first in Hong Kong in 2014, right? So what made you decided to actually make the shift from Singapore to Hong Kong?
I always have, I've always felt a very strong need to leave the nest. because I really I cannot sit still as a person.
Mm,
So I needed to go somewhere else. I believe in being comfortable
mm,
with being uncomfortable. That's what all artists go through. All our art is uncomfortable. If it's comfortable, it's probably crap. You know, uh, it's so. I think that yeah, I really felt there was a need for me to move. My partner had a very good opportunity there, and I was very lucky to have been given some very good opportunities there, and yeah, I never looked back.
So when you're in Hong Kong, are you treated like someone coming from overseas, or actually you can merge into their culture very readily? How does it feel like when you first go to a foreign place?
Well, before that, I had the perception because I'm Singaporean Chinese, right?
Mm,
I thought, kakinang, you know what I mean? Like all the same. But there are differences, and I was very much a foreigner there. I mean,
mm,
it was good that I could speak a bit of Cantonese and definitely Mandarin, but it's a different culture. It really is a very different culture, and yeah, but I really enjoyed my time in Hong Kong.
So culture aside, just now you brought up a very
Mm.
interesting point about you definitely speak Mandarin, right? So do you think that this bilingualism that we all Singaporean grew up with is actually an advantage
Oh
when
yeah,
it comes to
1000% an advantage. I cannot understand people
mm,
who feel that learning a mother tongue is asking them to, I don't know, go to jail or something, because it is 1000% an advantage. Because
mm,
going abroad, especially even in LA right now, my
mm,
ability to speak Mandarin and some Cantonese puts me way ahead of my competitors in so many areas, because of so many reasons. Because
mm,
China is because China is becoming a major player in the world film industry, the film and TV industry, and also when they look at a face like this, I think you expect this face to speak some kind of an Asian language.
mm, mm.
So
Right.
I that's a big plus. Yeah.
So when you are in Hong Kong, with no background, no connection, how do you actually try to start to actually get your first job? How do you get your first gig in Hong Kong?
Honestly, I was pretty hardcore. I really knocked on a lot of doors. I was already doing a lot of TV, a lot of theater, and some film in Singapore, but I
Mm,
was by no means like a mega superstar. No, I went there, and there was no one to refer me or anything like that.
mm,
I had some meetings and stuff like that, so I really had to knock on every damn door, meet to see if it's a match or not. And thank goodness I found Anna, who is my manager in Hong Kong, who knew exactly uh, after a few meetings what I was about and how to best put my work on a platform. And I've
mm,
had some great opportunities through her. In China, in Hong Kong, in that Andy Lau movie Shockwave, I had a small scene in that. She put me in, and it was really a lot of determination and knocking on doors, really, and having absolutely no shame.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think being thick skin probably is one of the requirements, right?
Yeah,
If you want to start all over again. So,
yeah.
in Hong Kong, right? Would
Actually,
you?
can I add
Sorry.
something?
Yes, please.
I think thick skin is something associated with uh, actors or public people, but I think thick skin is really an attribute that is related to a person knowing. It's prioritizing. You know what I mean? Like, if you put your attention fully on one thing, the rest of
Mm,
the thing you realize doesn't really matter, because it's part of the journey towards your goal. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, yeah. And I think the good thing is you're very clear with your goal, right? I mean, nowadays, if you ask a lot of young people, they were like, "What do you want to do?" I don't know, right? I just do whatever
Well,
that comes, right?
honestly, I still don't know. I know roughly, but I
Yeah.
don't. By still, I'm still looking.
Great. So in terms of comparing, the scene in, production scene in Singapore to Hong Kong, how would you actually describe, when you move to Hong Kong? Do you have like, in terms of the production planning, in terms of the way that they run things, is it very different and you have to learn all over again?
No, not really.
Okay.
They shoot very fast,
Mm,
and people generally, I feel, move at a much faster pace in Hong
mm,
Kong. I was very blessed. I went to college, LaSalle College of the Arts. I had studied under Tony McGill, Bronwyn Gibson, Sean Murphy, Kay Tuckerman. Basically, I've been given a very, very good toolbox that's I can use for life to work with, and
mm,
and then any other skills I get after that, I just add on to the toolbox. But that toolbox was everything I needed to move there, and I
mm,
can adapt to whatever, however they work.
mm,
It's
mm.
different in every production, actually.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So in 2019, you decided to move to LA again. So what made you decide to make the move the second time?
Well, I never really thought about moving to the US.
Mm,
That was never in my thoughts, actually, until the opportunity presented itself a few years ago, and I was asked if I wanted to move, and I said, okay, I'll move. I took the leap. LA is like the mecca, like I said, the mecca of American film and television. It's a trendsetter. Whatever LA does, the rest of the world does, like a few weeks or a month later, right?
mm,
So I guess, um, in terms of storytelling as well, it is a leader in many ways. The opportunities that I have are, I guess, the chance to work with all of these trendsetters and creators, a lot of whom I've spent my growing up days watching the content of. So the chance to get close and work with these people, yeah.
mm, mm. It seems like every time you move, it actually bring you to a bigger, I would say, a bigger role, right? And allow you to actually flex your muscle a little bit more, right? So in terms of preparing yourself, right, for taking on a bigger role, or more responsibility, how are you dealing with that? How are you preparing yourself, right, from the move to another yet bigger industry in that sense?
There are two things I want to point out here, because I've been very fortunate enough to have had a very good in LA had experiences. So I feel I'm very qualified to speak about this. One thing is, it's really important to um, upgrade yourself with new skills, and so-called get to the level of the industry here, and also prepare yourself mentally for the lack of a better word, a step up in quality, or whatever it is.
Mm,
Because the truth is, if you're speaking in front of three people, you might perform a certain way. But if you're speaking in front of 30 million people or something like that, the stakes change. The mind sometimes fools you into thinking that, into messing yourself up. So mentally, I think it's very important that a person prepares himself too. However, that being said, I have to say that, uh, instead of seeing myself wanting to perform at a certain level, this trip back into Singapore has really made me realize that what is gold, right? What is really gold is knowing where I came from, my roots, because all those we have all these experiences that we have since we were kids, right? That is our bank of riches, of
mm,
experiences, and all those emotions and stuff like that. I cannot just throw them away. If I need to keep them and bring them along with me wherever I go, and add on to them. So I advocate upgrading oneself, but also not forgetting one's foundation. That is
Mm,
the one thing. That's key to confidence, actually. Yeah.
mm. Right, right. So how is it like, to start all over again in LA within a very short period of time, right? And how do you do the same thing as you did in Hong Kong, or do you do something differently in LA when you start all over again?
I had some friends who made some introductions and also knocked on a lot of doors. It's been LA is a very, it's a rough town. It's very challenging town to navigate. Um, I feel it's the same thing that got me through the first year, and second was COVID. So first
Mm,
year, um, it was grit, and also uh, a person has to know himself very well, because LA is a kind of, I feel for me, LA is a kind of place where it is so interesting and so cool that sometimes a person might lose himself in it. Oh, I want to be part of this. But actually, by doing that, you're losing the goodness you bring.
mm.
Um, so I guess the same qualities, grit, determination, and pretty much did the same thing.
So how do you land your first acting gig in LA then? Was it like an opportunity came out among your knocking doors, or it was from an introduction of a contact? Like how did your first gig comes about?
I already had representation like
Oh,
when I came
okay.
to LA. I had an agent and manager within
Mm,
like a few weeks,
mm,
but this opportunity came about not from my representation, but from I was living on Santa Monica Boulevard in Genesee then, and right like 5 minutes away from my place was a bar, and there was one night. I think I just felt like having a beer or something. So I walked 5 minutes to the place, and there was this Asian Chinese. It's this Asian film networking event. I went there. I met David, who's a really cool guy, and
mm,
stayed in touch. We had a good chat. And then he told me that one of his colleagues was looking for a funny Asian guy, and then putting me in touch with the person. I sent the stuff to the person. We talked a lot. It was a process, and then before I knew it, I was on set. I had the chance to work with Eric Roberts, Matthew Willig, who's
mm,
currently on a lot of American TV shows. So yeah, so it came about that way
mm.
through just going out.
But that's a very good point, right? I mean, for all freelancers as well, networking, is also an important aspect because you never know who you'll meet at networking sessions or, just going out for a drink, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. So, we all know, being an actor is not easy, right? In fact, it's probably one of the more difficult, so-called occupations, irregardless of wherever you are, right? Whichever country you are in. So, what are some of the challenges that you have faced, right, when you work overseas in the last few years?
In Hong Kong, I would say, yeah, there are different challenges everywhere. In every different project, every different day. But in Hong Kong, I would say it's Cantonese.
Mm,
香港廣東話. But
mm,
when I opened my mouth, people know that I'm not from there. And my Mandarin as well, has an overseas sound to it. It's either ABC or Singapore Chinese sound. I cannot seem to. I've been working hard to get the Beijing accent.
Oh,
And
okay, okay. Do
that
you bring
line.
along your do you bring along your Singlish?
Oh yeah, of course. I call my parents every day, so I get to speak English every day. So my Singlish is still very sharp. And when I was back in Singapore, I made sure that I sound more Singaporean than anyone else. Yeah. So it's still very sharp. Um, so in China, I think it was the challenge of being a really complete unknown with a decent resume, uh, uh, and just coming and trying to break into to the market, and people with already established relationships there. It's like a newcomer, and seeing what value I can add to the creative process. Yeah, and in LA is really a personal journey of growth, identity, and learning how to fight harder. Really, it's I have had some very very rough experiences, some good experiences too. It's a big move, like it's a move that I really needed. Um, I would say that most folks in LA would say that an actor normally moves here and then moves back to the hometown probably less than 6 months. Number one, because it's so expensive, and number two, because the pressures of working here are just so high, and the competition is crazy. Um, so I think that I've done pretty well to. I've worked on a few projects and still have the energy to sustain being here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you brought up a very important point, right? Like about being expensive, right? So, in your years of acting experience, right? In terms of the fee that you charge, in terms of the price point and all this, right?
Mm.
How do you decide, how much you are going to charge whenever you move to a new place?
Excuse me. How do I decide how I'm going to charge her?
Yeah, yeah, because I suppose every place is different, right? So when you are starting all over again, right? Do you have the mentality to say, oh, I will charge lower first, and then after that, when I make a reputation, then I'll charge more, or actually you do have like a rate that you will never negotiate, and that is the rate that you charge, right? I guess this is a very important things that our freelancers always ask us. How do I charge, right? It seems to be something that is always on people's mind.
It's a very tricky question because I like to view it, project by project, because, in Singapore or in Hong Kong or in LA, everyone's budget is different. I will, if they cannot meet my monetary requests, I will see how else we can work together, because I feel that it has to be a fair settlement for everyone. So, with regards to a fixed rate, at the moment, no. No, my representation probably has, but I don't have a fixed rate for myself. Um, but I do feel it's really on by a case by case basis. So that's my answer. Yeah.
Mm, great. Okay. So how do you intend to build your career from there, right? So, you move from Singapore to Hong Kong to LA. So what's next for you?
I really don't know, to be honest. COVID has really changed a lot of things. Could I stay here? I could stay here, but I had a recent trip back to Singapore, and I realized that I really love being with my loved ones a lot. I could move back. I'm not sure about that, but at the moment, I think my passion for the craft is keeping me here. Yeah.
Mm, great. Would you recommend anyone, who are thinking about moving abroad to be an actor? Would you recommend them to do so?
They have to be psycho. They have to be crazy, because the chances of success are close to none. There is, but you know what I mean. And also, I feel that there are a lot of opportunities in Singapore being an actor, and there's a great scene in Singapore, a great theater scene, a great TV scene. But if a person's crazy, then I would suggest move abroad, get some new experiences. I strongly suggest travel, even if you're not crazy. Travel is very important. Living in another place, it gives you whole new perspectives on many different things, and a smart and well-lived actor is a good one.
Right,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ray, for all the sharing. Before we let you go, I just have one last question, right? So the question is, what advice do you have for Singaporean creative who want to move abroad to work?
Well, shut up and do it. No, Singapore is really a utopia, such a wonderful place, and it's almost painful to leave all the comfort behind, to go to somewhere where you don't even know if you can pay the rent or the bills. doing what you're good at doing. It's the fear of losing all that and starting from zero again that scares a lot of people. That's a fear, and comfort, right, is the killer. It's a person who's too comfortable for too long is going to die very quickly. So don't think, if you feel it's really um from my point of view, right, my move out of Singapore was not a logical decision. It was an emotional decision. Um, I've not regretted it since. So if you feel like it, I think if you feel a deep down yearning that's been there for a long time to go abroad, doesn't have to be LA, Hong Kong, whatever it is. Can be Myanmar, can be Vietnam, or wherever it is. If you feel that that is going to enrich your life and you feel like you want that to be part of your life, just go ahead and do it and don't think so much.
But would you encourage them to go? I mean, like just now you mentioned, right? A well-lived actor is someone who experienced life and things like that. So do you think that it's necessary for actor to experience a different life somewhere?
Absolutely. Move out of the comfort zone. Go to a place where you can hardly speak the language, and makes you feel uncomfortable as hell. And after a year or two, you'll be so much richer in terms of what you can offer, I think. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for the sharing. Thank you, Ray, for taking the time to talk to us and share with us your expertise. So, to the audiences, if you like our show, do subscribe and listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check out our website and join our Creative at Works community on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Right. In the meantime, if y'all would like to reach out to Ray, we will actually have connection to him as well. So he's looking to come back to Singapore. So for all of you out there, connect out with him and let's bring him back to Singapore soon. Right, great. So be kind, stay safe, and we'll check soon. Yeah, Ray, thank you so much for your time.